Hello, this is Anthony. Let's sit and talk. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to overcome and release emotions. Now this is one that's been come up a lot on journeys. It's about a lot of people talk about shadow work. A lot of people talk about how to deal with some of the traumas and things that occur in life, and I'm going to give you some, real world examples here, and try to help you to understand better what some of these concepts are, and this one in particular. So, I for the longest time struggled on how do you let go of this trauma, of these feelings, of these emotions. For instance, say you lose a friend, or a relationship ends. Immediately what happens is you have these feelings that come up, and a lot of times people don't understand feelings. They don't understand emotions, and so they struggle with them. So in order to not go through those feelings and to feel the uncomfortable feelings, they do things to distract themselves. They do things to suppress the feelings. These are medicines and drugs and alcohol and work and all the things that people do. We talked about this in our prior video about distractions and the purpose of distractions. And I think, what's come to me especially lately is understanding more about how do you deal with these feelings, these emotions. How does it actually work? How do you actually heal from it, grow from it? And so I'm going to briefly try to explain that to you in this video, at least one of the ways that I've discovered. So, let's use, let's use losing a friend as an example. Let's say you lost a friend, and, you're sad about it, and you want to cry. But in some cases, you can't. It just won't come up for some reason. You don't understand why. One of the things that I've done in the past is, like, I've turned on a movie or something that I know is going to bring up emotion in me, to allow that emotion to come out, and then I just try to let it come out in any way it can. But what actually I started to understand is that, when you stop trying to suppress the emotion, it's going to come up in a multitude of ways. It's not always going to come up in terms of crying. It may come up in terms of having a kind of a cruddy feeling, an uncomfortable feeling that you can't understand or process. Most people, when they start feeling that way, they think, well, I'm depressed, so I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go do that, or I'm going to suppress this, or I'm going to try to change that feeling or emotion. The problem is that emotion is, people would always say emotions are just energy in motion. Okay, that's what an emotion is, energy in motion, meaning you've got some energy that's coming up based on a trauma in the past, or based on an event that's currently happening that needs to be expressed and released in order for you to be able to energetically overcome that difficulty. This is why sometimes therapy can be so difficult for people, because what happens is people go in to therapy and they'll talk about some of these experiences and traumas that they've had, and I can certainly relate to that, because I spent a lifetime of doing that until I went through a specific therapy that allowed me to release the emotions that were trapped in my body. What they do is they analytically understand the trauma and they accept it. But analytically understanding that something bad happened to you and accepting it that it wasn't your fault doesn't release the trapped emotions that are in your body that need to be released and expressed. Part of the reason that we're built this way is because when you understand that you are the observer of the emotions, that you are not your body, you are not your mind, you are the observer of those things, you came to have certain experiences, and to allow those experiences to be catalysts to help you to grow and evolve on your journey. Okay? And so what happens is these emotions will come up, and they'll come up in a multitude of ways. As I mentioned before, sometimes it's crying, and sometimes it's just feeling icky. Sometimes it's something that you can't put your finger on, but it just doesn't feel good. And so what do? They'll immediately go to try to get themselves out of that mood. However, feelings and emotions, they're not a bad thing in and of itself. How we turn them into a bad thing is we think I'm feeling this and it doesn't feel good, so I want to not feel it. And so we immediately start to think, I have to do something to not feel these feelings. However, again, it doesn't help you to move the emotion or the energy out of your body. So one of the things I've discovered for myself is that instead of looking for the ways to distract, I've started to understand that this feeling that I'm feeling, this emotion that I'm feeling, it's safe. It needs to be expressed, but I don't need to allow my mind to fall into it. I just need to allow my body to feel it and express it. And in doing that, what it allows me to do is to say, okay, I'm having this feeling. I'm just going to let my body feel it, feel that energy and motion, but I'm not going to attach to the feeling that's there. I know it's going to be uncomfortable, but I understand that in its feeling of being uncomfortable, it's going to pass. And then when it passes, I'm going to be safe, and I'm safe throughout the entire process. I'm safe in the emotion as it flows. I'm safe in the feelings. It is not me. It is not what's defining who I am. It is something that needs to be expressed in order for me to move past this difficulty or this trauma that I've experienced, to allow me to then be able to bring up other emotions that already exist within me, which are peace, joy, and bliss. So for me, what I've done and I've learned to do, and especially in the past, it was more a feeling of like allowing the body to cry and seeing that I was crying, but not attached to any thoughts that were in my head about the reasons why I was crying. Just observing it. Over the last several weeks, it's been more. There've been different emotions that I've had to deal with. Some of them are like maybe low level anger or hurt, pain, depression, things that might come up, when you lose someone. And so what I've started to do is I've started to just tell myself, this feeling is here. I am safe. This feeling isn't going to last, but this emotion needs to be expressed and released. And so I allow the body to go through the process, and I observe it going through the process. Thoughts will come in my head, but I won't attach to the thought. I'll just let the thought pass through. Much like if you're on a raft and you're seeing tree limbs float by, I just let those limbs float by. I don't attach to anything. And I just let the body express those things. And what happens is I notice as I let the body express those things and I don't attach to the feeling, it doesn't take very long before it all starts to just subside and a calm comes back in. And essentially what I've done is now I've allowed the body to express the emotion, to release the emotion, to allow that energy to be emotion out of my system, out of my toric system or my energy system. And I've allowed that to just float away, much like the sticks have floated past the raft. And once those things float away, these emotions start to come up less and less because I am dealing with the energy that's trapped inside of me based on whatever has occurred in my life that needs to be released. And this has been very helpful in me to understand how things have affected me throughout my life, or even more recent experiences that I might have gone through, and how it's allowed me to be introspective. It's allowed me to focus on my growth in it, the things that I've needed to learn from the experience in it, the things that I've needed to teach myself and understand within myself of why certain events had happened around me in order for me to grow and evolve so I can be the best version of self. So hopefully this helps you to understand a little bit more about when these emotions come up, how to allow that emotion to be expressed, but not to fall into it, not to allow yourself or tell yourself in your mind, oh, this is me, this is who I am, I need to feel this way, I need to go into this deep pain and allow it to hang on and drag on, because that is just going to continue to stuff, and the more you stuff, then it becomes harder and harder and harder to release the things that you were meant to release, to complete the lesson that you're meant to complete, to stop yourself from continuing to go through cycles that you find yourself going through in life, whether that be relationships or being affected by things that happen around you that are meant for you to learn and are not happening to you, to allow you to kind of get yourself more out of that victim mode and become more empowered into who you are. Now, remember, if you've gone through a life of trauma and you've built up a skill set or a mindset of fortitude where you're like, I'm going to overcome this and I'm going to stuff this. Well, that's great. Again, analytically, you can overcome it. But remember, that's part of the reason why counseling can be good. You have to take the analytical mind out to allow the emotion to be expressed so that you can actually release it from your body. And once you release that emotion from your body, then you are more connected to your body and you're more in control of your body, which means you're more in control of your experience and you can be a more proactive member in your journey in life. But what say you? How do you feel about and how do you express your emotions? How are you able to deal with these emotions that come up, this energy and motion? Hopefully this is something that can help you. By the way, if you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd be grateful. Until I talk to you again, peace, love, light, and have the most amazing day.